Hi friends, welcome back. So in this video I'll be discussing about what are the various different types of user acceptance testing which we normally observe in software testing. There are five different ways user acceptance testing can be done that I'm going to discuss as of now. Now the first user acceptance testing we normally do is alpha testing. In alpha testing, normally this testing is done at the developer side by the internal team or a group of users who are not part of the development team. That is all about alpha testing. Now during alpha testing, our main focus is to identify the issues within the software before releasing to the wider audience. And main advantages of doing alpha testing is which allows us to detect issues early as well as we can resolve those defects as well as in a quicker manner with a controlled environment. Now, what are the disadvantages of alpha testing? Because this is done by the development team, the limited coverage as well as there is a bias is always be there with the issues which we found during alpha testing, because again this team also an internal team, there could be a bias whatever the defects will log here. And the next one is beta testing. The beta testing is another user acceptance testing where here we are releasing the software. Beta testing involves releasing the software to the select group of external users or a customer. Let's say we have hundreds of customers for your application. We may be releasing to 2 or 3 customers and get the first feedback from those customers, so that we can get a real world feedback from the customer so that we can improve the software. The advantages of this beta testing is this provides valuable insight on how the user interacts with the software and as well as identify any usability issues and collect the feedback for improvement from the selected customer as part of beta testing. And the disadvantages with beta testing is because we are covering only 2 customers who are important to us, and it may happen that remaining customer may have different scenarios that we may not be able to cover as part of the beta testing, and those issues may become a challenge later. That is the biggest disadvantages while doing beta testing. And the next type of acceptance testing is contract acceptance testing. The contract acceptance testing is nothing but here we are trying to verify the software which is meeting as per the contractually agreed upon requirements between the client and the vendor. Here whatever which is defined in the contracts, that will be getting validated as part of the user acceptance testing. And we are completely defining on the terms of the contract and what are the terms we are given, whether that really meets or not, that we are going to validate as part of the contract acceptance testing. The main advantages of this testing is because we have contracts with clear terms, that is going to help us to define the acceptance criteria very clearly based on those contractual obligations. But the disadvantages here is we are more focusing on the contractual obligation, but we are not much worried about what a user needs. Because of that, we may get into bigger challenges if any issues which is going behind those contractual obligations. Next type of acceptance testing is regulation acceptance testing. In this kind of acceptance testing, our software should comply with the industry specific rules and regulations or standards that we have to take care whenever we are releasing to the customer. The regulatory complaints can be IPA or GDPR. There are many regulatory complaints or requirements will be there, and that requires to be tested as well before we are signing off, because otherwise that becomes a big legal issues later. Because if you are not following legal and regulatory standards, our softwares we cannot release to the customer. The main advantages of this type of testing is this is going to ensure the compliance with the legal and regulatory standards which are very important for certain industry, especially health industry. And the advantages And the disadvantages are, because these regulatory compliances are the overhead and complex is involved. In order to adapt all these different kind of regulatory things, it requires additional testing process also to be bring in to manage this regulation acceptance testing. And the last type of user acceptance testing is operational acceptance testing, OAT. In the operational, focusing on the verifying the software that can be smoothly deployed and operated in the production environment. Here we are focusing on verifying the software whether that can be smoothly deployed or operated in the production environment. And we are going to test whether installation, configuration, maintenance are meet the operational requirement. This testing more often the operational perspective. And the advantage of this type of operational acceptance testing here is this is going to identify any deployment or operational issues before we are releasing to the customer. And the disadvantages could be this requires a coordination with the operational team, access to the production environment so that we can try out all the installation perspective, configuration perspective and maintenance perspective before we are releasing to the end customers. So these are the 5 different types of user acceptance testing we can perform for any given software testing.